All right, here we go. The Krug Show with you on a Wednesday night. That's right. Tomorrow is game day. We're with you on a Wednesday night. Sterling Bennett's in the house. We got a lot to get to, including a late breaking report on Brock Purdy. We'll get into that. A lot of interesting stuff. Niners going to go with Mac Jones. Do they have a shot? Are the Niners going to get their doors blown off? We're going to hit it right now. Let's go. Off and running Wednesday night on the Krug Show, brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. They do run out, so get there early. Get some brisket. Get some brisket chili. It's all great, but I love the brisket. I love the brisket chili. It's amazing. Go say hi to Damon and Mary. Get some brisket chili. Get some pulled pork. Get some. Oh, they do these amazing homemade chicken pot pies from time to time. If you stop by their location in Corte Madera, they make homemade potato chips cooked in beef fat with the same rub they put on the barbecue chicken. I mean, there's very few times that I will go on and on and on about a potato chip, but that is a phenomenal chip. So once again, greatest chip of all time, the greatest barbecue of all time, Pig and a Pickle. And of course, the 49er football season is presented by Sleeper, the fastest growing fantasy platform in the world. It's a one-stop shop. You're getting blazing fast news, real-time stats, group chat, season-long leagues, and of course, Sleeper picks for daily fantasy. So use the promo code. A lot of you are doing it. Sleeper will match your the promo code is Larry, by the way. Use the promo code Larry, Larry, and Sleeper will match your first deposit up to $100. Links in the description. Terms and conditions do apply. We are kicking all kinds of butt on Sleeper. We've won almost every single week. It's a ton of fun. So hey, check out the best DFS you're going to find, and also, a fantastic, it's really easy to navigate. I really love it. So big fan of Sleeper, and thanks to all of you that have already signed up on Sleeper. Got a word this morning from Sleeper that Krug Show fans are crushing it over at Sleeper, and so Sleeper's very happy with us. So thank you to Sleeper for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. Sterling, good to see you, man. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Probably a little better than Brock Purdy's big toe is, but we are surviving on a Wednesday afternoon.
Yeah, great to see you, man. Always love streaming with you. And we normally, Sterling and I stream on Thursday nights, but the game's tomorrow night. So, and Sterling's doing his post game over at 95.7 The Game. Check that out. If you're after the game, of course, we will do our deal over at KMBR, and then I'll, of course, do my deal on YouTube. So we got a bunch of things going on tomorrow. Really excited for tomorrow night's game. Now, I don't know if the Niners are going to make it a game or not. The line opened at 3.5. It's funny, on Sunday night, Sterling, on the post-game show, I'm asking my panel, I'm like, hey, what do you guys think the spread's going to be? And so we all took a guess, and I said 5. And somebody else said 4. Somebody else said 3. And then we looked at it. It was like, hey, it's 3.5. And I'm like, oh, I'm wrong. Now it's 7. And the line has moved in the Rams' favor. Obviously, Vegas feels like this is going to be a Rams win convincingly, maybe even a Rams blowout win. It seems anytime you see that kind of line movement, aggressive line movement, it always makes you wonder. But Vic Tafur had a tweet today, and let me see. I retweeted it. Basically, it was the latest and greatest on Brock Purdy. And yeah, here it is from Vic Tafur. And I will share the screen so you guys can see Mr. Tafur's tweet. And he covers the 49ers, used to cover the Raiders, now covers the 49ers. Does a nice job. Here it is. Vic Tafur, who's a great follow at Vic Tafur. Purdy isn't healthy enough to be the team's emergency backup in LA, which underscores that his sprained big toe was worse than it seemed coming out of Sunday's loss, and that the 49ers are leery of it becoming a recurring issue this season. So, I mean, Sterling, I don't know how you feel about the 49ers decision. I mean, it would be one thing if you said nothing going into the game and then you got this 2020 hindsight guy. Like if I said, hey, Brock Purdy's back and I'm fired up. Get him out there. Great move, Lynch. Great move, Shanahan. Way to go. And then he goes out there, doesn't play well. And now I'm like, those guys were wrong. This was, I don't respect people who do that. And there are a bunch of people who are doing that this week, who last week had absolutely no qualms about the Niners going back to Brock Purdy, didn't say crap about it, didn't make any point or point to say that why they thought Mac Jones should start. They were just cool with Brock Purdy starting, but then they're still willing to do drive-bys on Lynch and Shanahan and be like, they blew it. They screwed it up. And to me, it's like, you know what? You don't have the right to say that unless you were saying, like I was saying, and a few others, I'd go with Mac Jones. I saw all of the practices. I know they told me Mac Jones is more hurt than Purdy. But you know what? I don't trust what people tell me. I trust my eyes. My eyes told me that Brock Purdy, whether maybe Mac Jones told Shanahan he felt like crap, but Mac Jones looked a lot more like the Mac Jones that I saw all summer last week at practice, where Brock Purdy didn't look like the Brock Purdy I saw all summer. He was high with his throws. He didn't seem like he was running with the same gusto. He didn't seem like he had the same quickness and speed to accelerate fast off that toe. And I said it. I said I would go with Mac Jones. I would not go with Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy's been high on his throws. I think he can't get that toe down. I think it's impacting his mechanics. And I fear that he's going to be high in the game with some of his throws. We get to the game. He was high in the game with many of his throws. I asked him about it post game. He said, I got to watch the film and be honest with myself. I asked him about it after he watched the film. He said, I still don't know if the toe was directly related to the high throws or not, but I think it was. What do you think?
Yeah, I wasn't in the camp that was, urging or wanting either quarterback to play. I just wanted the most healthiest guy to be out there on Sunday against Jacksonville, which now in retrospect, it certainly feels like it probably should have been Mac Jones, which we don't know that for sure. Obviously, Mac is not on the injury report coming into week 5, but the one thing you don't want to do is kind of toy with your franchise quarterback's health. And it feels like San Francisco may have done that in week 4 to try to kind of steal a win against Jacksonville, a team they feel like they really had to get a W against, which it didn't work out. As we saw, 4 turnovers offensively, but I think that last line by, Vic Tafur, the Niners are leery of it becoming a recurring issue this season. While San Francisco can certainly say they lose against the Rams, they can get healthy against Tampa Bay in 10 days of rest and go on a run. Whenever you hear there's worries this thing could linger throughout the year, that's when you start to have a serious conversation as to, okay, will we see Mac Jones even if Purdy comes back for a game or two, like the foot thing, the toe issue, that could cost Brock 2 games down the road. And so I think San Francisco should sit Brock Purdy until he's 100% healthy. And I think whether it's because, they think he can be out there, he's healthy enough to play, your season is over if Brock Purdy isn't healthy. Mac Jones has won you 2 games. Yeah, it was against the Saints and against the Cardinals, and Brock Purdy hasn't looked great so far this year, 5 interceptions or 5 turnovers this season. But if you don't have Brock Purdy for, weeks, 15 through 18 or a playoff run, you're not going anywhere because you can't run the football. So Purdy's health is a massive question. He's had a lot of injuries throughout his career. He's battled through them at times. But this feels like that San Francisco really cannot toy with Brock Purdy's health anymore. If he can't play and you're worried about it being, a week-to-week thing with him, don't play him until he's 100%.
It's turf toe, possibly. I don't know if he's going to be 100%.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I mean, what's going to make him 100%? Is he going to have a surgery on it? Is he going to have to let it rest for 6 months? Is it, what are we talking about? I mean, we haven't really had that discussion. I mean, the first timetable was he's going to be out 2 to 6 weeks. Then he was out 2 weeks. Mac Jones went 2-0, and suddenly he's miraculously healed. Then he plays one game after he didn't look particularly good in practice, didn't look particularly good in that game. They turned it over 4 times, and now they're back at Mac Jones. I would say play Mac Jones for just go forward with Mac Jones. Let Brock Purdy's toe quiet down. I would not. I mean, I would say probably Brock Purdy. If you ask me, what has he got? I would say he's probably got maybe 5 or 6 games that he could play at some point if they could get it quieted down. I don't know if he could play 5 or 6 games in a row right now, but he might be able to play 5 or 6 games if they could get it quieted down. I would sit him. I would go with Mac Jones, just for the foreseeable future, like for the next month. I would go with Mac Jones, and I'd take it off Brock Purdy's plate because there's this big, like, everything's about, pro football. It's like everybody's hurt. Tell me when you're injured.
Yeah.
That's the culture of pro football. Everybody's hurt. Tell me when you're injured. So, Brock, are you saying that when you're, when the doctor's clear, you're going to be out there? He's like, absolutely. Like, he couldn't say it fast enough because he doesn't want to be known as a soft guy. He wants to be known as a guy who's out there with his brothers fighting the good fight. And he's not going to be resting his injuries and sitting on the sideline. He's one of the guys, and and it's like, you know what? I said all off season that the Mac Jones addition was a great addition because it would bring out the competitive fire in Brock Purdy. Now it's actually working to a detriment because now I want Brock Purdy to be like, hey, man, I got the gig. I got the gig. Let's get this thing right. Let's take 4 to 6 weeks off and let this thing quiet down and see where we're at that point. And maybe it goes away, and maybe you can get 6 weeks from now between that point and the end of the year.
Do you think
that's the way I'd look at it?
Do you think there was maybe some sense of pressure put on Brock by the organization, or maybe he felt some sort of pressure to go out there and play against Jacksonville, knowing that Mac Jones likely couldn't suit up, and they didn't want to give the ball to Adrian Martinez and risk that as kind of a game in which you could be 4-0 and you play the Rams on Thursday Night Football, you figure things out down the road. Like, we've seen the organization put pressure on quarterbacks before to play through injuries, and it backfired in 2020, which even Garoppolo's high ankle sprain. He was out for the rest of the year after that. Not to say this is the exact same thing, but I do wonder if there was some sort of pressure either by himself or the organization to say, hey, Brock, Matt can't go. He was the initial plan. You got to play. Or
no, I don't think so. I mean,
okay.
Now everybody's got a different thought on this. That very well could have happened. I don't think that's the way it happened, though. If you ask me, I would say that Lynch and Shanahan deferred to Purdy and said, do you want to give it a go? And he said, yes, my toe's good enough to give it a go. And they just deferred to him because he's their starting quarterback and they wanted it. The whole, Mac was more hurt. Says who? Says Kyle? Says the Niners? It's pretty convenient, isn't it? We're going to go with Brock Purdy this week. And by the way, Mac Jones is more hurt than Brock. Okay, but they both practiced all week, and Mac Jones, when he practiced, looked like Mac Jones.
And was it Mac the backup quarterback still?
What's that?
Was it Mac Jones the backup quarterback still?
He was.
So it's like, okay.
Right.
If you can back up the quarterback, why can't you play quarterback?
Right. I just think it was like, let's tell the media what we have to tell them so that we get as little pushback as possible. I mean, think about it logically. If they came out and said, Brock is actually more hurt than Mac, but Brock's going to start this game, we're all like, why? Why would you go with the guy so if you want to start Brock and you gave Brock that choice and he's like, hey man, I'm starting, and you're like, okay, we're going forward with Brock, and you make that decision, it's just pretty easy to say to, Larry Krueger and other media people, hey, by the way, Mac is more hurt than Brock. Or there's no way for me to challenge that. There's no way for me to verify that. There's no way for me to measure that. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's very convenient. It's like, how convenient that the guy that you're going with is the healthier of the two quarterbacks. And now here we are 4 days later, and the healthier quarterback's now the more hurt quarterback. It's interesting how that works. So I really don't think that Lynch and Shanahan would have put a player out there that wasn't healthy. I think they just deferred to Brock, and he wants to play because he's a tough guy, and he wants to show that he's a tough guy, and that's it. But this is a very dangerous injury. I mean, it sounds very benign, turf toe. Oh, I got turf toe. It doesn't sound like nothing, but guys lose their careers over it. Guys lose seasons over it. Guys lose mobility that they never regain over it. So it's actually very, very serious. And to me, a knee sprain for Mac or a turf toe for Brock, if you said to me what was the bigger concern of a recurrence, it's definitely the turf toe. Because we've seen the turf toe get exacerbated. I mean, Patrick Willis's career ended because of turf toe. I mean, it's a dislocation. It's very painful. It basically prevents you from sprinting and stopping and starting, which is football. Brock Purdy's greatest trait is his 1-5-4 10-yard split. That escapability is what really surprises people that they're not banking on. And if he doesn't have that ability, especially against a Rams defensive line that's, where insane. Byron Young has more sacks than the entire Niner defensive line by himself, and they've got a terrific line. I would imagine Brock would have to be running for his life on that turf, and so they made the call. And Brock made it seem kind of like, hey, it's a quick turnaround. Like if this game had been on Sunday, he could have played. But that's the wrong mindset because it's not going to get better. I think they need to go with an extended rest and then hope it gets better and hope that Mac Jones can win enough games to keep you in it so that when Brock's toe is rested, that he can get back out there. I mean, it doesn't seem like he's going to last more than a week or two more if they just make him play. So I would rest him.
It does seem like the Niners are kind of targeting week 6 as this kind of we're all back together. They have, back together day during training camp. Week 6, hopefully Kittle's back, Pearsall's back, Jawan Jennings is back, Brock Purdy's back. You're on the grass in Florida on the road. That feels like they are targeting week 6 as kind of the come together moment for the entire offense to kind of refine their footing, if you will, and have everyone healthy again besides Brandon Ayuk. Which I don't blame them for that. Now, I obviously you want to avoid Purdy being out against the Rams, the biggest game of the season thus far. And I do think there may be some justification to say that Mac Jones, with how bad San Francisco's offensive line has played this year and the lack of weapons they have and how bad the running game has been, that Mac Jones may be the better fit against the Rams, at least this Thursday. But I feel like San Francisco, not to say is giving this game away, but let's be honest here. It's going to be a tough game to win, even if Brock Purdy was out there, knowing how bad your offense has played. It kind of seems like
it's going to be very challenging, and the line tells you as much.
And it feels like they're going to wash their hands of this and say, well, we weren't healthy. Oh, guys weren't out there, short week, whatever. Week 6, here we come. And they're kind of okay, not giving the game up, but essentially being like, whatever. Like Thursday night, we'll try our best. We're not going to win anyways unless something crazy happens and Stafford throws 4 picks. But week 6 kind of feels like that's when we'll find our footing once again this season.
Well, we'll see. I mean, I'll say this. I've had some people comment to me on X. Well, hey, if there's no Pearsall and there's no Jennings and there's no Brock, shouldn't the Niners sit Trent Williams and all their key guys down? And, no. It's like, that's not the way. First of all, it's not the way the sport is played.
Right.
If you're healthy, you play. Okay. Yep. That's the way. It's like mom used to say, if you're healthy, you go to school. If you're healthy, you play in the NFL. There's no such thing as, well, we're going to rest. And not in the regular season. You only have so many guys up on a particular game. So yeah, they're not going to give in, Well, and I also don't think they're going to get blown out. I actually think they're going to show up and fight and claw, and I think it's going to be a good game. We'll see. I mean, Mac Jones could be running for his life, but Sterling, what do you think? Because this is, the dynamics at play here.
Yeah.
If Mac Jones gets crushed, sacked, destroyed, Niners get blown out 41-10 or something like that, okay. Mac Jones battles and they lose 17-14. Okay. But what if Mac Jones goes to LA, with this Niner team that's super decimated. No Kittle, no Ayuk. Debo's moved on. You've no Bosa, no Pearsall, no JJ. And what if they go in there and they win impressively and Mac Jones plays well? What is life after Thursday going to be like for this fan base, for this media market? What's the reaction going to be? Are people going to jump off of the Purdy bandwagon that quickly to Mac Jones? Let's say Mac Jones throws for 300 yards and has somehow Mac Jones to Demarcus Robinson and Kendrick Bourne beat Stafford and the Rams in their place on a Thursday night national TV game. If that happens, what is the reaction of Niner fans as it pertains to the quarterback job?
It's going to be the old Colin Cowherd video where he's discussing LeBron James and saying, oh, we have Ben Simmons. We're good. You can leave now. It'll be the exact same thing for a lot of fans out there saying that, okay, Brock, go ahead and go on IR for the next 4 games and we'll figure it out without you because Mac's on a roll. He's playing good, consistent football, and he just did what nobody thought he can do with the weapons he has, which are basically nobody worth starting in 2025 besides Demarcus Robinson, which even then, he's probably a good receiver 3 in most offenses. But this fan base will be almost in the exact same spot they were in 2021, in 2022, where, yeah, you have the guy at starting quarterback you like, but you're intrigued by the guy behind them. Shanahan always seems to find success with the number 2 compared to number 1 sometimes. And it'll definitely set some fans up, whether it's justified or not, to have some sort of buyer's remorse on Brock Purdy, which it isn't my money, so I don't care. But you'll have some fans certainly saying, well, why'd you pay Brock, $53 million per year when you have Mac who can go out there and beat the Rams on short notice with maybe a bad knee? Now, that's a lot to say. I don't think Mac does that, but in a world where he does, you're going to have not just this fan base, you're going to have the national media, you're going to have Fox, ESPN, I'm sure at some point KNBR, 957 The Game, all those people saying, there's a reason Mac Jones was Kyle Shanahan's guy in 2021, and it kind of looks like that was the right choice back then, and maybe it could be now. But not to say I want San Francisco to lose, but I would like to avoid another quarterback controversy if we can, please.
They're so fun, though.
It's great for the views, I'll tell you that one.
Yeah, it'll be great for the YouTube channel for sure. It'll be great for everybody's channel, and then some, if that's the way it all shakes out. It is interesting though, because quarterback is kind of like it's like the flavor of the month. Who do you like? And you just never know. But if Mac plays impressively, that's what's going to be the most interesting to me. If he plays impressive football, where he looks really good, I don't know. I think it's going to be really interesting. Before
let me ask you this.
Go ahead.
If, let's say, San Francisco at least plays the Rams tough, they still lose, but Mac Jones looks fine, and maybe Purdy isn't fully healthy. Let's say Purdy's injury lingers throughout the season, or maybe he's on IR and things get worse. Who knows? And he misses the next month or so of football. And you're at the trade deadline, you're above 500, you're playing well, and then Brock gets healthy. Do you roll with your backup quarterback, or does Purdy go back out there? Like, do you somehow play the hot hand with your franchise quarterback compared to your backup? Like, this conversation, albeit is not interesting just yet because Purdy can be back by week 6. If things continue, this is an entirely new conversation where you're asking Kyle Shanahan, hey, Jones is playing good football. And it's been a month and a half now. You going to bench that guy for a guy that's played pretty piss poor in 2 games?
But they've already made their move, right? They paid him $265 million. Yeah. If you have to go into Jed's office and say, hey, Jed, guess what? We paid Brock $265 million of your money, but we actually now think Mac is the guy. I think Jed may just yank your sheets.
Yeah.
Jed may just say, bro, no, goodbye. I don't know how much leeway they have with Jed. Here's Jones talking about the Rams D And this was, I thought, the moment I thought Jones was going to start. When he answered the way this answer, I thought, this is a guy, this is something you say only if you're going to start. This is not something you would say. I mean, I want you to hear this quote. Think of it from two perspectives. This was said before we knew that Mac was going to start. Listen to this quote and tell me if you know how it would play if he knows he's starting, as opposed to how it would play if he knows Brock's starting. Listen to this.
When you say that, in your opinion, they're the number one defense in the league, what do you see that really jumps out to you?
I think just the way they play, their mindset. There's always 11 guys on the screen, and they have a great defensive line. They played a lot of different schemes. They do a lot of stuff, but do it well. So it's going to be a challenge, and been impressed with them. So can't wait to go against them.
Yeah, actually, that wasn't the cut I was thinking of. That was the second cut. The first cut where he basically just said, hey, I think this is the best defense in the league. And it's like, would you say that if you were, if Brock Purdy was going up against him? Maybe. But I think it's something that you would say more if, it's almost, you're almost like setting yourself up for, hey, man, I just beat the best defense in the league. You know what I mean? I don't know. That was my take. When I first heard him reference the Rams as the best defense in the league, I thought, that's interesting. And they're among the best defenses in the league, especially if you look at, closely at some of the numbers, EPA per play and all that stuff. The Rams are among the best defenses out there, but I don't know if you would necessarily say they are the best defense.
Yeah, they have a terrible secondary.
Yeah,
but
it's not a good
defensive line carries them big time, but even in this clip by Mac here, you can hear him say it's going to be challenging. It's going to be tough. There is indications, albeit he was asked a question and answered it. There are some small indications where he's like, I'm prepping to be QB1 this Sunday, or I guess in this case, Thursday. Like, while we didn't really know if Purdy was going to play, you can tell toe soreness on Monday. This is we're in the gray zone here. And now Mac's talking like it'll be a tough outing on Thursday, speaking in first person of like, okay, like he's clearly saying this as I'm starting against the Rams, which again, I'd probably say might be the better choice simply based on that ball's coming out quick. He'll trust Shanahan to the nth degree. He's not going to run around and try to make plays. He'll just run the offense, and that might make San Francisco a little bit, more streamlined, if you will, which I don't think is the worst thing, knowing how bad your offensive line's been and how the weaponry around him really isn't that strong. So Mac Jones does give them a chance, albeit I don't know how high of a chance, knowing who's not going to be out there.
Beyond this game, what do you see at quarterback? I mean, Purdy in this game, I don't believe is going to be the emergency third quarterback. So the Niners... No. The Niners would have to promote Adrian Martinez, their practice squad quarterback, to the active roster. Yeah. So instead, we're going to see them elevate Martinez for the third game. This is the third and final time that he can get the practice squad elevation. There's also a lot of speculation that Purdy could go on the IR, which would make him go away for 4 weeks. And then the Niners would probably have to do something, maybe put Martinez on the roster. What do you think they're going to do after this game? Do you think they're going to put Martinez on the roster, put Brock on the IR, and just go with Jones and Martinez? Or if not, won't they have to? I mean, they could keep him on the practice squad, but they can't elevate him anymore. So then who's going to be elevated to be the backup? Is it going to, will they re-sign Tanner Mordecai? Will they bring back Carter Bradley? Will they make a trade and bring somebody else in? I mean, how do you see this quarterback room? Because there's some kind of roster gymnastics at play here.
Yeah, I don't think Brock's going to go on IR. I think they're targeting week 6 for everyone's return, including Brock's. I think they want to give him the 4 days in between, week 4 to week 5 against the Rams, and give him the 10 days between Thursday to next Sunday against Tampa Bay. So about 2 weeks almost fully off of, playing an actual football game for Brock, and hopefully his toe can somewhat heal and he can get back. I think, getting back to playing on natural grass instead of the turf and SoFi is probably a good thing for him. It is called turf toe for a reason, mind you. So I do think that might actually help them. But if they don't, and let's say Brock is still injured and can't play in week 6, maybe you place Robert Beal Jr. on injured reserve and kind of navigate Brock if you think you only need one extra week. But if Purdy's on IR, then you put him on IR, you elevate Martinez or sign him to the active roster, and maybe go try to find somebody like a Mike White, who they brought in a couple weeks ago.
Did he? I thought he signed. Didn't he sign with somebody's practice squad the other day? I thought he did.
I think so, but you can pluck him off if you need to and just steal him if you will. And I think Carter Bradley signed to someone's practice squad as well. So there are options out there, albeit I'd rather have Mike White than Carter Bradley. But I don't know. The Niners are kind of in a dangerous place at quarterback. Again, you like Mac, but whenever you talk about, third string quarterbacks, it's not really how your season should be going. So I don't think Brock will be on IR, but if that toe injury lingers, they might be in a world of hurt heading into week 6, 7, and 8 against the Bucs, Falcons, and Texans.
Before we get to our sleeper lineup, let's hit our second topic here. Matt Barrows says he expects the Niner 5-man receiving core against the Rams tomorrow night to be Kendrick Bourne, Demarcus Robinson, Sky Moore, Russell Gage, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. None of those guys, except for Robinson, was even on the team, I don't believe. Definitely, I mean, Gage might have been there in some capacity, but I think when camp started, he wasn't. So, I mean, MVS, Gage, Sky Moore, Kendrick Bourne. I mean, I said it today on Niners Nightly on KNBR. I mean, Demarcus Robinson better get double-digit targets.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy got 2 targets last week, and Kendrick Bourne got 4. Why are the 49ers now? Kendrick Bourne's got a little bit of magic going with Mac Jones, but why are the 49ers pretending that Kendrick Bourne is good? Because, I mean, Kendrick Bourne to me is not good, and he hasn't been good for a while, and he got double the targets of Demarcus Robinson, who literally might have been your best receiver all summer. Robinson is in his prime. Bourne's in the twilight. MVS, I don't love him either. Gage, not a big fan. Yeah. Sky Moore, I don't mind as a return guy, but I mean, this has got to be the worst receiving core going right now. I mean, are they cooked without Pearsall and without Jennings, or is this? Would you play McCaffrey at wide receiver? Would you run the hell out of it and just take the passing game out of it, or do you just throw 10, 12 passes towards Demarcus Robinson and hope he has a huge night against his former team? I mean, that is a underwhelming group of wideouts.
Yeah, this may be the worst group of wideouts they had maybe since 2020. When it was like Richie James with 9 receptions and 184 yards against the Green Bay Packers, and you just said, what's happening? Like, what's going on with this offense? Normally I would say, yeah, run the football, run it 35 times and make the Rams beat you. And in most years that would work out. However, this is not the same old San Francisco 49ers. They're averaging 88 yards per game. That ranks 31st in football. They're averaging under 3.5 yards per carry. That's around 28th in football. They can't run the football. Like, they can't. Even if you wanted to simplify things and, suck the defense in, then boom, play action to Bourne or Robinson downfield, you just can't do it this year. For whatever reason, the offensive line, blocking tight ends, McCaffrey himself, you just can't do it. So you're going to have Mac Jones drop back 40 times again and this see if he can win you the game. But the weapons, quite frankly, aren't good. Now, Demarcus Robinson is a fine wide receiver. I think he can do things for you. And this Rams secondary is not very good. And the one thing I do think Demarcus Robinson, and even to a certain extent Kendrick Bourne, for as bad as he was against Jacksonville, has against the Rams is height and weight. The Rams cornerbacks they have this season, if you go to their bios, it's a freaking disaster for how tiny they are. And you watch the game against Philadelphia, albeit it was 2 weeks ago. The minute Philadelphia realized they can just brutalize them with A.J. Brown, that game was over. And while Robinson and Bourne are not A.J. Brown by any means, Darius Williams is 5'9", 192 pounds. Emmanuel Forbes is 6 foot. That's good height, but he's 181 pounds. And Kobe Durant is 5'11", 182 pounds. Like, for reference, Lenore for San Francisco is 5'10", 210. Like, you can brutalize those defensive backs, but that goes back to why not having Juwan and Kittle really hurt you. Like, I think if San Francisco had their full weaponry, they have a good chance to win this football game. But without those guys, your odds go from maybe 45%, 40% to about 10%. I don't know how San Francisco moves the football in this game whatsoever. I just don't. I think it's a defensive game for San Francisco. You can somehow get a pick or pick six and you're in the game late, maybe, but I just don't see how they move the football at all.
They're going to have to run it, and then they haven't been able to run. So, how do you develop a run game when your runner, you've got Christian McCaffrey and he's going for 3 yards a carry. They've got to figure out a way to run the ball, and to do that, it's going to be very difficult because they're facing a lot of stacked boxes because teams know they're kind of daring the Niners to pass against them. And we'll see. We'll see what they're able to do in this game. I would say the 49ers have a shot if they could get a lead, if they could have a little first half success. The Rams have been a little bit of a slow starting offense. So if the Niners could get a lead, I think that would really help. If the Niners could play from ahead and be able to run the ball a little bit more, I think that would really help. And also I think the 49ers, last week they lost, but they were -4 in turnovers. If they were -2, they probably win that game. And if they're +2 in this game, I think they got a real shot. But they're going to have to be plus. They're going to have to be on the plus turnover margin. You're not going to win this game on the road with your backup quarterback against this Rams defensive line by being -1 or 2 in turnovers. So you have to win the turnover battle. I think that's where it really starts. Let's throw our sleeper lineup out there. 49er football on the Krug Show this season is presented by Sleeper, the fastest growing fantasy platform in the world. It's a one-stop shop. You get blazing fast news, real-time stats, group chats, season-long leagues, and of course, sleeper picks for daily fantasy, where you choose between 2-day players pregame or live and pick more or less on their projected stats. If you're new to it, it's a lot of fun. Use promo code Larry, Larry, and you'll get a 100% deposit match up to $100 on your first deposit. The link's right there in the description. Terms and conditions apply. We've been absolutely killing it on Sleeper, winning almost every single week, and it's a lot of fun. It's one of the best of its kind in my opinion. I love using Sleeper. So let's take a look at tomorrow night's Thursday night lineup and see if we can come up with a winning formula. All right, let's go Puka.
Whew.
Now Puka's got 98.5 receiving yards, which seems really high. I like the receptions. I think it's going to be virtually impossible for the 49ers to keep Puka Nacua under 10 receptions. 9 gets you over. So I'm going to go more than 8.5 receptions for Puka.
Yeah, if you look at Puka's stats this year, leads the NFL with
stout,
42 receptions. 503 yards, 100 yards over the next second place guy, which I think is still Jackson Smith-Njigba. He only has 1 touchdown, so there's that. But again, you said his name, Upton Stout. That's who's going to be lined up against most of the time. And in the slot this year, Puka, 17 receptions, tied for first, 214 yards. That is first. 10 receiving first downs, tied for second. And he has about, I don't know, what is that? Stout's 5'8", Puka 6'2", and has 40 pounds on Stout. Whatever the over is, pound it as hard as you possibly can. It's going to be ugly for Stout on Thursday.
Well, I mean, I like Stout. I think Stout's really good. Now, here's the thing. I think the Niners have to be smart with how they defend Puka. Get up in his grill. He doesn't run well. Get up in his grill, challenge him, take away all the hitches, all the quick game, all the slants. Do not let him play pitch and catch with Stafford all night long. Do not challenge all the short stuff, challenge all the underneath stuff, and dare them to throw it over your head.
Would you utilize Jair Brown as the big slot if you could to kind of match his physicality, or do you trust the Stout with the shiftiness more than you would Jair Brown?
I'm trying to snuff him out like a candle with speed. So okay. I like Stout. I like Stout on him, and I would just take away get up on his face, and then it's going to take a team effort. Yeah. The Niner D linemen are going to have to, take note on every play. What side of the formation is Puka on? And if he's on the right side and you're a defensive lineman standing between, him and Puka, Stafford and Puka, get your hands up. But I like the idea of Stout on him because Stout's quicker, faster, better athlete, much faster. And I just think that he might be able to snuff him out. But I'm still going to go with 10. Stafford to Puka is one of the most unstoppable things going on in the NFL right now. So I'm taking that. We'll go more than that. Let's take a look at CMC. Let's look at Christian McCaffrey. What is McCaffrey's projections here? All right. So you have 62.5 rush yards, an anytime touchdown, 54 receiving yards, 16.5 rush attempts, 6.5 receptions, 122 combined yards. What do you think there? Do you like the rush attempts? I mean, the Niners are going to try to run the ball, right? Are they not?
I mean, they're going to try to. I think they're averaging 28 per game this year, with McCaffrey clearly having the lead back roll. But I almost may say over 6.5 receptions. Like, it's the way he's been utilized this year. Like, why wouldn't you pound that?
Yeah, let's go with that. More than 6.5 receptions. They're throwing it to him constantly. All right, let's see Mac. Where's McCorkle in this thing? 217 passing yards, 1.5 passing touchdowns, 8.5 rush yards.
I mean, if
I like
Mac's
2
dropping
touchdowns.
back,
I like 2 touchdowns.
Okay. I was gonna say if Mac is dropping back 40 times on Thursday, which he has against the Saints and the Cardinals combined, I mean, why wouldn't you slam the passing yards? But you think Jones throws for 2 like San Francisco puts up over 14 points in this game?
I think so. You like the 217 more? Yeah, let's go more. Let's go more than 217.
Simply based on volume and opportunities.
Let's go more than 217.
Okay.
Let's go back on that one. We'll do that. I don't think we got that. I think we got the other one. Yeah, that's not that. Let's go to 217. More than 217. All right, let's go another one. Is there something else you like here? I mean, Mac and Bourne seem like he looks for Bourne a lot. Bourne also had a horrendous day last week.
Do they have special teams mistakes? Because I might have to hit the over for San Francisco on that one. But
yeah, no, we haven't got there. How about Atwell? Let's go 2-2. Let's see what Atwell's got.
He's got some speed.
He's got a lot of speed. Just the anytime. Wait, 9.5 receiving yards? No, we're going with that.
Well, he's been their number 4 or 5 guy behind like Jordan Whittington this year. He hasn't played much.
He had a big touchdown, I think. Is he going to have one catch? Yeah, I think he is.
You'd assume. I mean, he was the big reason they beat San Francisco in the first game last year when he was the only guy they had back at SoFi Stadium. So
a 50-yard bomb against Mooney Ward. Last week, he had an 88-yard catch against the Colts. So let's go with that. I like that one a lot. 2-2 over 10 yards. My God. All right, let's try one more. I want to go DeMarcus Robinson because I just think DeMarcus Robinson might be a sleeper. Let's take a look at because I mean, he is by far the 49ers' best receiver.
Yeah.
I like receiving yards, more than 27.5 receiving yards. I love that.
Yeah. That feels right.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if DeMarcus Robinson doesn't have 3 times that, the Niners have probably no chance. They need him to have like an 80-yard day. For sure.
He's got to be receiver number 1 caliber on Thursday.
All right, here it is. It's a 5-legger. We have Puka Nacua. Wait a second. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Puka Nacua with at least 9 receptions. DeMarcus Robinson with at least 28 receiving yards. Tutu Atwell with at least 10 receiving yards. Mac Jones with more than 217 passing yards. And Christian McCaffrey more than 6.5 receptions. I like it. $5 bet makes you $70.90. What do you think? Well, which of those makes you the most nervous?
Probably the Atwell one, simply because I don't know what his usage will be. I think, yes, that's one catch, that's one end around, whatever it is. Like, that's an easy one play and you have it. But I just don't know what his usage will be. If I'm the Rams, I want to target San Francisco safeties. Panaka and Siegel have not been that great in coverage this year. And if you want to get behind San Francisco secondary, Atwell's the guy to do so. So it could certainly happen, but that one does worry me the most of those 5 on screen right now.
I guess I would go with the Jones 217. It's not a big number, but if it turns into a run the ball to protect Jones kind of a game, maybe he falls short of that. But I like it. $5 to win 70-90. Big thanks to Sleeper. Remember, use code Larry for 100% deposit match up to $100. Links right in the description. Terms apply. Helps support the show and gets you rolling on the #1 sports app. It's a ton of fun, man, and it's always fun to win. We've won pretty consistently this year. I mean, we've won a lot. So thanks to Sleeper. Awesome fans of Sleeper. And once again, they will match your first $100. So thanks to Sleeper for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. All right. We got a few more topics we want to hit here. Let's talk a little bit about the matchup. It's an interesting matchup. The Rams, have an absolute elite quarterback in Stafford. He didn't play all summer. It's funny. I asked Greg Beacham from the AP who covers the Rams. I'm like, the Rams are like the healthiest team in football, and the Niners have 22% of their roster on the injured list. And Stafford doesn't play his guys at all in the preseason, and Shanahan does. And they swear by it. They swear by it. He says McVay's philosophy is nobody should play even one more snap or take one more hit than's absolutely necessary. And so he didn't play Stafford at all in the preseason. Everybody else thought, Stafford's seriously hurt. The Rams are going to suck. Jimmy G, get ready for that. And now here we are. It's, a month in, and Stafford looks awesome. He's got 8 touchdowns, 2 picks. He looks 27, not 37. And the Rams have an elite quarterback. Nobody seems like they can stop Puka Nacua. I guess the only glaring issue with the Rams is they start slow offensively, and their secondary is not very good, despite the fact that Cam Curl's got a couple interceptions. But it's a pretty complete football team. How do you see? The Rams are 2-9 dating back to last season when their opponent scores 23 points or more. So if the Niners could put 24 on the board, they got a good shot. And if they could get a lead, I think that's almost mandatory to have a shot to win this one. You don't want to play from behind against a team with this kind of a defensive line. How do you see the matchup tomorrow night?
Well, it's going to be a dogfight for San Francisco's defense for sure. Like, you are trying to stop what has been probably the most efficient passing offense in football this year. You can say they start slow, but they're averaging 12 points in the first half and 12 points in the second half this year. Their only loss came to the Eagles was kind of some shenanigans on special teams, and the Colts had them dead to right. Adnan Mitchell doesn't fumble in the back of the end zone. A Jonathan Taylor touchdown doesn't get called back towards the end of the game. Maybe they are 2-2 and you are 3-1 still. But like you said, Matthew Stafford is playing lights out football. He's PFF's highest rated passer on 60 dropbacks, highest big time throw percentage at 8.3. He's the highest rated deep ball passer in football with the second lowest time to throw. So even if San Francisco does find some semblance of pressure, the odds it gets to him or it rattles him is slim. He's been sacked 8 times this year, but only 4 of those are the offensive line's fault. So it's not as if the Rams offense are playing bad football. Like they're playing really well, And I just don't know. Like, this is going to be a Robert Saleh, can you figure things out game for me? Because no Nick Bosa again. Can you find any way to manufacture some pressure on Stafford and maybe hit him early? He's fairly tough, but if you can hit him early, you can rattle him a little bit. The odds are, though, you're not going to get hands on him. So I don't think San Francisco's offense can keep up with this Rams team unless they just drop back 40 times. You can give a little bit of time to Mac Jones. But again, that depends on how guys get open. So I'm expecting a super heavy Christian McCaffrey game. Screens, end around, screen. Like, he's just going to be feed CMC until you can't anymore, which I don't love that, but it seems to be the case through the first 4 games. But to be honest with you, all the stats, all the numbers just align with the Rams smoke in San Francisco, but that's why you play the games. And you're kind of almost hoping that the Rams feel overconfident, they're at home, and kind of feel like San Francisco felt against Jacksonville, where it's, oh, we're at home for 2 weeks, so we're 3-1, but the odds you catch the Rams sleeping are pretty slim. So this is one game where I kind of sat back and I said, where is the path to victory? And I've had a really hard time finding them for this game.
Yeah, I mean, it starts with being +1 or 2 in turnovers, but I think you're right. It has to be a Christian McCaffrey monster game. I mean, he had a rushing, receiving, and passing touchdown in this stadium in the past. He's going to need that kind of an effort. I was looking at some numbers this week that were really impressive, that kind of outlined what Christian's done as a receiver. If you look at McCaffrey this year, Sterling, only as a receiver, and you put it in like a fantasy football context, he would be wide receiver 9 right now in the league. If you just took all of his rushing stats and just flushed them, you just had his receiving stats, he would be the 9th best wide receiver in football. His current pace, and where it would rank among last year's wide receivers, he's got 100. His current pace is to have 183 targets. That would have led all of wide receivers in the NFL last year. He's currently on pace for 132 receptions. That would have been number 1 among all receivers last year. He's on pace for 1,296 total yards receiving. That would have been 3rd among wide receivers in the NFL last year. He's on pace for 8.5 touchdowns, which would be a tie for 12th among wide receivers, and 246.6 fantasy points, which would mean he was the 4th best wide receiver in fantasy. So, I mean, it really illustrates why we went for the receptions in our sleeper wager, but it also kind of, the Niners have been looking a crazy amount at Pearsall and McCaffrey, and now with JJ and Pearsall out, I would imagine it's got to be a big McCaffrey day. But I think it also probably has to be a big day for Brian Robinson. I think they probably have to give Brian Robinson a number of touches in this game. I think it's essential that he handles the football. There's a lot of people that have been very critical of Brian Robinson, saying that he's not even as good as Jordan Mason, and they shouldn't have gotten rid of Mason and gone down this road. I don't know. To me, that seems like a little premature to judge Robinson so harshly, considering he's barely getting any touches. But what do you think of Brian Robinson so far?
I think he's looked fine. I mean, we've seen him like 4 times a game. Maybe it's not been much. Like, he had the longest run of the season so far for San Francisco. So why would I hate on the guy? I mean, he's looked fine as an RB2 being utilized on like 3 carries a game against Jacksonville. And, if you kind of open the conversation back to how does San Francisco win this football game, you almost want Shanahan to kind of dump all his bag of tricks out and say, let's go to work this Thursday. And that's what you're paying Shanahan to do. Like, hey, your team's hurt. Find a way to win this game. I would love to see Garendo find his screen game end around stuff. He's a good receiver, not a good running back, but he's got speed, and you can beat the Rams with some speed on the outside. So, I don't know. They're not going to do that. But back to Robinson, my only concern isn't the player. It's just the fact that the Niners can't run the football this year at all. They're 31st in yards per carry, 28th in yards per game. And I went back and looked at every single win since 2017. So Shanahan's first game against the Rams all the way until last year against the Rams. They're 10-6 overall. In their wins, they're averaging 127 rushing yards and 4.23 yards per carry and 1.4 rushing touchdowns in those wins. That is a far cry from what this offense is doing this year. So if they don't run the football, whether it's Christian McCaffrey or Brian Robinson, I have a hard time believing they win this game at all. Like, you have to find a way to run for more than 3.3 yards per carry. Even if it's 4, you have a chance. And they have to find a way to get Robinson going or Christian McCaffrey going. And if you want to have CMC on the outside as kind of a wide receiver hybrid in this game, which would make a lot of sense knowing who isn't out there, Robinson might be your guy. Like, this Rams defensive line is big. They're strong. They're bulky. There's a bunch of dudes. They do 5-man fronts. Robinson can probably beat that more than CMC can based on strength in itself and size. But I just feel like Shanahan's going to spam CMC until his legs fall off. So we'll see how healthy he is after Thursday night's game.
Are you more worried about the Niner D-line trying to disrupt the rhythm of Stafford, or are you more worried about the Niner O-line trying to stand up to the Rams D-line?
I've kind of accepted the fact that no matter how much pressure or disruption San Francisco tries to get against Stafford, it's probably going to be no use. He's just that good of a quarterback. I think he's probably the best quarterback under pressure in football, just being a pure pocket passer. So I guess in that case, I'm more concerned about, San Francisco's offensive line being able to do some damage against the Rams defense, because I was a bit shocked, and maybe you can help me out here. The Niners only blitzed Trevor Lawrence 5 times week 4. It's 15.2% of his snaps. And that is a far cry.
They've been getting the ball out so fast that I don't think they felt like they could get home. And then you might as well not send another guy at the quarterback. If they're going to get the ball out that fast, you may as well drop as many guys as you can into coverage and make them be accurate.
Which is what I think we'll see against the Rams on Thursday. Stafford's 2.57 seconds and the ball's out. It is gone. It's like the third in football this year.
Right. They have to dare the Rams to throw the ball over their head. But let's talk about the Niner offensive line for a second, because I'm losing my confidence in PFF.
Yeah.
PFF, if you want us to believe in you, then your stats have to make sense. The 49ers gave up 16 pressures to Jacksonville last week, and yet the 49ers are grading out in pass protection as the 6th best offensive line, according to PFF. They're grading out as a run blocking line as the 5th best line in the NFL. So they're a top tier line, run blocking and pass blocking, but they can't run the ball despite having one of the best running backs in the game. And they're giving up pressures by the bushel, and both their quarterbacks are hurt. It's like, what are we doing here? And then Jake Brendel, if you want to take an individual PFF grade, they list him as the number 4 best run blocking center in the game and a mid-pack pass blocking center at 14th. I just saw a whole highlight reel of Brendel just getting owned last week.
Yeah.
So, is PFF, have they jumped the shark? Is it time to just say, hey, Jeff Deeney, I love you, brother, but your PFF is a freaking joke and nobody should ever cite it again? Or are they right? And this 49er offensive line is way, way better than all of our eyes tell us when we watch it.
Ooh, yeah, PFF has definitely made me rethink my subscription to the website.
Really? Seriously, it's phantom. Their rankings are starting to be useless and pathetic.
Yeah, and look, PFF certainly is part of the picture, but it isn't the whole thing. Like, you have to have tape, you have to have film, you have to have PFF. You can use EPA all you want, but film will tell you the actual answers to the questions you have. And if you know how PFF works, it's just a bunch of dudes sitting in a room watching the game, covering one player at a time and going forward. So, sometimes box scores can lie. We all know that. Sometimes, teams stat pad and whatnot. And, this is what PFF, has done. And I think a large part of San Francisco's, or at least a part of San Francisco's run game deficiencies are the lack of blocking from their tight ends. I think Luke Farrell's been pretty bad this year. And he was signed to be a blocking tight end. He hasn't done that job just yet. Tungus isn't a blocking tight end. And I think if you look at the stats this year by Jeff Deeney, mind you, the Niners on design running plays without George Kittle, 3.3 yards per carry. With George Kittle, 4.9 yards, almost 5 yards per carry since 2024. So I don't know if it's the offensive line as a whole has been bad. I'm sure there are some bright spots in there, like Colton McKivitz has been fine. Trent hasn't been, future Hall of Fame gold jacket Trent, but he's been fine, not been great. But I think a bigger portion of it is, 1, misassignments, but also 2, Luke Farrell has been a terrible run blocker this year for San Francisco. And if he's on the edge or he's pulling guys outside, there's no lanes to run and guys are getting missed and you're getting guys stuffed in the backfield. So, yeah, whether it's Jake Brendel or Connor Colby or even Dominic Puni to a certain extent, the interior of San Francisco's offensive line has been atrocious this year on the ground game as a whole.
And if you don't believe us, Christian McCaffrey finished with minus 34 rush yards over expected this week, tied for the third lowest of his career with a minimum of 10 carries. He had a 23.5% rushing success rate. I mean, they're just not running it well, and they're giving up a whole slew of pressures. And if, Brock Purdy on dropbacks longer than 2.5 seconds against the Jaguars, 12 of 25 for 180 yards and 2 picks. He faced pressure on 13 dropbacks, which was 32.5% pressure rate. 4 of 12 pass attempts under pressure for 75 yards, an interception, and a sack fumble. So, I mean, the pressure is clearly bothering him. The other thing I thought was kind of interesting, the Niners have allowed the 6th most quarterback pressures this season, 61. Despite being blitzed at the 3rd lowest rate, 21.4%. Yeah. So teams are getting pressure by just rushing their front 4. And all other teams with at least 50 pressures and an opponent blitz rate under 24%, this list is the woebegone of woebegons. It's the New York Giants, the Tennessee Titans, the Carolina Panthers, the New Orleans Saints, and the Cleveland Browns. And those teams are a combined 3-17. So, I mean, it's, 49ers offensive line is going to have to do a much better job in this game if they're going to have any chance at all. I really believe that I would go after Puka by just trying to dare him to throw it over your head. You can't give Puka all the short stuff, right? I mean, you got to somehow make Puka, catch the downfield stuff. I mean, I to me, that's just a no-brainer. You have to make Puka make plays down the field. You can't give him these handoffs. Puka's played, by the way, 32 career games. He's gone for 100-plus yards in 17 of 32 games. This guy was a 5th-round pick. He went number 177 overall. More than half of his NFL games, he's gone over 100 yards. This guy is just an awesome player. And then you go back and go, well, how did the Niners miss on this guy? And once again, I looked this up. In this same draft where Puka went with pick number 177, the 49ers had 5 draft choices in front of 177. Do you want to hear who they took?
Can I guess?
Go ahead.
I'm pretty sure that is the trio of 3rd-round picks of Camelot to Jake Moody and Jair Brown.
Yes.
Who would be after? So there's 2 more guys.
2 more guys.
In rounds 4 and 5. They didn't go offensive line that year, I don't believe. Is Kalia Davis in there, or is he a 6th-round pick?
No.
Okay. Darrell Luter Jr., a 5th-round pick in that
Darrell
draft?
Luter, yes.
Okay.
Yep, he's number 155. Who was picked 4 picks in front of Puka Nacua?
Oh, man. Trying to think.
Pick number 173.
Probably not on the team anymore, for being honest.
He's on the team. Yeah. Okay. He doesn't do anything, but he's on the team.
Oh, man.
He literally doesn't do anything.
Depth piece. Is it Robert Beal Jr.?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We got all 5. Jair Brown, Jake Moody, Cam Latu, Darrell Luter Jr., Robert Beal Jr. All 87, 99, 101, 155, 173. Puka went 177. Ouch.
Is that their worst miss besides Mahomes in 2017?
That's pretty bad.
It's got to be up there.
That's bad. I mean, yeah, I mean, I'd have to go back and look. That's not.
There's been a lot of them, but still.
That's bad. That's bad. Okay, a couple more. 61% of SoFi's crowd tomorrow night are supposed to be Niner fans.
Yeah.
Will that impact the game in any way, shape, or form?
No.
Niners will have a packed house, but it won't make a difference.
I mean, for the pumped in fake crowd noise they have out there in SoFi and the whose house chants we'll hear. No, the Rams are 3-0 against San Francisco in their last 3 games. Obviously, I know last year's kind of a, what really happened, who was healthy and everything, but some of the same problems are plaguing San Francisco. And I don't think the fans, although I love them a lot, and it does matter when you're at home, if San Francisco can find a way to get them involved in the game, maybe, but that's a big if on the road, albeit it is somewhat of a home game for San Francisco. I don't think it matters. Stafford's too much of a veteran guy, a quarterback. The Rams team literally called themselves the big brother last year after beating San Francisco at their own place. So I don't think they're bothered by the Niner fans whatsoever.
No, I don't think it has the same impact anymore.
No.
I think it's nice. I'd rather have the Niner fans there, but I mean, it's, they say that the Rams pipe in noise to that place.
Yeah.
That people are sitting on their hands, and yet it's super loud in there. What do you think? Do you believe that?
Having gone to college in Southern California for 4 years and living in Southern California right now, albeit not near Los Angeles, people don't care about the Rams down here. They are Dodger fans, they're Laker fans. The Rams might be on the same level as the Clippers. No one really cares. They just go because it's football in the area. Some people drive from LA to Vegas to watch the Raiders when they go to Rams games. So I don't think Rams fans care. It's a bunch of influencers and celebrities and whatever Rams game, whatever. Like, they just go for the luxury of having a football stadium. They don't care about the game at all. They don't. I don't even think Rams fans are real, to be honest with you.
It's funny, when the Rams won the Super Bowl, they had a highlight of a sports bar in LA, and it was the most muted, nothing reaction to the Rams winning the Super Bowl. It's like, hey, we did it. We did it. Hey. It was like, yeah, man, all right. We got it done. It was like, what? It was like, I've seen people more fired up at the Hall of Fame game than Rams fans have, in sports bars in Southern California about the Super Bowl. I was like,
did you see their parade at the Super Bowl? It was like nobody there. Nobody was there.
That is hilarious.
It was cheerleaders, executives, and the team, and that was it.
That is awesome. That is awesome. One of my favorite guys at breaking down football is Baldy. And
yeah.
I love Baldinger. He's come on my show before. He's come on the channel. I love him. He does great stuff. Me and him have a great rapport. He did a video where he basically called all the Niners defensive linemen loafers. And I'm going to show you the play. Robert Saleh, I brought this up to Robert Saleh. I asked Robert Saleh about this. And I don't think I have the audio yet, but we probably will in the next day. Kev's still turning this into a video, but here is Baldy. He's talking about this play where Fred Warner punched the ball out, and it's on the right hash, or the defensive left hash, let's say, offensive right hash. And the Niners defensive linemen are all to the right of the defensive right hash. I believe I'm looking at this. Maybe I'm looking at this opposite. But here is, we'll play this
on the Fred Warner forced fumble.
Let's get the reaction here. Here's Baldy.
Robert, on the Fred Warner forced fumble, the ball was on the ground. Brian Baldinger said that your defensive linemen were loafing after you saw the play.
Hold on.
What did you think?
Okay. Wait a second. Wait. We got this out of the wrong order here. Okay, let's hold on a second. Are you hearing that? No. All right, let me just hold on. All right, let's do this in the right order. Okay, the right order. Let's minimize this. There we go. All right, now let's try this one more time, and we'll do it with feeling. Here we go. Here is Baldy ripping the Niners. Wait a second. Do I have this up? Making sure. Yeah. No, I don't. Still don't have it up here. Here we go. I'll put it up there, and then you guys can see this. Baldinger. There we go. Now you see it. All right, here we go. Here's Baldy ripping, and then we'll hear Saleh.
All that chirping after the game is just meaningless. But you want to know what is meaningful? This play. Like, this is a problem. All right? Trevor Lawrence has perfect protection. He wasn't sacked. He wasn't hit. And then he makes his check down here to Travis Hunter. And Fred does what Fred does. He comes and he punches the ball out. And the ball's right there on the ground. Here's the 49ers defensive line. This is the 49ers defensive line. Not one guy is pursuing the football. The entire offensive line of the Jags beats them to the ball. They're not even moving. And you wonder if they're going to miss Nick Bosa. That's 4 loafs on one play by the defensive line.
Wow. So he's calling them out. He's saying they're loafing. Now, if we rewind this, let me just take a look at this, what he's talking about. Okay. So the ball's out over here, and you got 1 Niner, 2 Niners, 3 Niners. You got a 4th Niner right there. So you got 4 Niners in the area, and it's on the defensive right hash. The linemen, offensive linemen, are all right there.
Yeah.
They're all to the left of the 49ers. So they're all closer to the ball, and they ran over there.
Yeah.
And the guy who's leading the charge probably could get there in time because the ball's right there. The Niner players are on the right side of the defensive hash. They're on the other side of the hash. And it wasn't like they stood there. They ran over there, but they also have 3 or 4 other guys that are on their team that are closer to the ball. I don't know. I mean, I
think it's a little unfair.
It's a little unfair by Baldy. I hear what I love Baldy, and I think I'm not trying to say that Baldy ain't good. I'm a big Baldy guy.
Yeah,
Baldy,
Baldy's
if you're watching this, Baldy, I'm all about you. I think he's wrong on this one. So anyway, I asked Robert Saleh about it, and now Kev did put it in the back here, so we'll be able to put this up and hopefully.
No, you know what? You could pick out any play and.
So let's see if we can. Let's see if we can move that back. Yeah, there we go. Okay, here we go. So I asked him this question. Here it is, and here's his answer. I think he had a pretty good answer, really.
On the Fred Warner forced fumble, the ball was on the ground. Brian Baldinger said that your defensive linemen were loafing after it. You saw the play. What did you think?
No, you know what? You could pick out any play and try to pinpoint different things, but we're always going to strive for tremendous effort. Our D-line can always be better. I can make an excuse for them on that particular play with the game we were running. We're running a game to our defensive left. The ball came out to our defensive right. They're spinning out, trying to find and locate the football, and their guys had a head start on it. So, but I'll never question the effort of this football team. Our guys are relentless to the ball. We get 11 hats in the screen at about 90% of the time. So, if that's a problem to some, it's not a problem in here.
Robert, what was your?
I thought that was a pretty good answer, to be honest, by Saleh. What do you think, Sterling? Let me move this off the screen. But I thought he addressed that appropriately. He didn't get mad. He didn't sit there and go Baldinger or Kruger. There's nothing worse than the person who gets mad at the messenger because they don't like the message, right? It's like getting pissed at the mailman because they brought you a bill. It's like, how dare you put this in my mailbox? I'm just the mailman, it's like, it's your mail. So some coaches would be immature and would attack me or attack Baldy, but he didn't. And he didn't just blindly support his guys. I thought he kind of laid that out very nicely and appropriately. And I kind of agree with Robert Saleh there. I don't really think that's an example of the night. That's not Chase Young and Kevin Givens in the NFC Championship game, jogging around as Jahmyr Gibbs is tearing the Niners a new one. That was far worse than this, in my opinion.
Yeah, you have the Jaguars offensive line who clearly has like 3 or 4, maybe even 5 yards on San Francisco's defensive line who, they're young and everything, but they're shaded towards, in our point of view, the right side of the offensive line. And you have the offensive linemen gearing up to go block guys downfield if possible. It just kind of a coincidence. I don't think it's anything to do with the effort of guys like that, but I don't know, that would be like saying the cornerback on the left side of the football field wasn't making a tackle or effort to go tackle a guy on the right side of the field. Like, well, yeah, I mean, like, what do you want the guys to do at that point? Now, if the ball was bouncing around left and right and they were kind of just standing there, that's different. But the ball's punched out. The ball's right behind the Jaguars' ball carrier. And then the offensive line's on it in 2 seconds. It's not as if they had a time to go over there and make a play anyways. Like, even if they ran over there, they're not getting the ball. So I think it's just, yeah, you can question the effort, I guess. But like you said, it's not as if
a stretch.
Yeah, it's not as if the edge rusher is not making an effort to tackle a running back running on the edge in a wide zone offense. Like, no, it's not happening whatsoever. So, I don't know. Like, you can see Kalia Davis and Michael, as soon as they see it's out, they start making an effort to run towards it, which maybe you can question kind of getting your eyes on the ball sooner, but that's just pure happenstance.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he addressed it well. I mean, I really like Robert Saleh. This is the first year that I've covered the Niners on such a close basis where I'm getting a chance to interview Robert Saleh, and I really like him. I mean, I think that he is he's solid, man. He's solid. I mean, he gives you good answers. He's not a stooge, but he's smart. You know what I mean? He doesn't just take everything at face value. He's not nervous. Maybe it's after you deal with the New York media, you stop being kind of nervous. Maybe you think, I mean, what do you think? You think there's something to that?
I'm sure. I mean, you question every single day. You deal with Aaron Rodgers for a year and Woody Johnson, who has no idea what the hell he's doing out there. And you're questioning, like, what is going on? And you're promised to keep your job and you get fired the next day. And you're like, what just happened? So I'm sure he's somewhat prepared to answer questions, albeit maybe not about Liam Cohen, but besides the point, you don't have to play him again. So, you move on from that. But as long as Robert Saleh isn't telling the next coach, I'm going to end your effing life if there's a problem after the game, there shouldn't be an issue.
It's hard to believe he probably said that, but he probably did say that. My name is Jeff. Says Larry sounds like he has assaulted a few mailmen in his day. No, I'm very nice to the mail person, the mail carrier. Okay, let's go to our big finish, which I'm stealing from Willard. And since I'm stealing from Willard, it will feature Willard. We're brought to you by Habbas Law. 1-800-INJURED. They will fight to make it right. I'm a big fan of Habbas Law. They're a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. And I don't know if I told you this, but my dad, who's no longer with us, but he was a lawyer. My brother is a lawyer, now a judge. My sister's an attorney. My dad always used to say, hey, you know what? The difference between success and failure in life is having the right lawyer. So today's show is sponsored by Habbas Law. For more than 40 years, Omar Habbas and his son Tarek have been standing up for people right here in Northern California. They're fierce, relentless PI attorneys. They don't back down until justice is done. You typically get into an accident. The insurance company says, we're not paying you. Habbas Law says, yeah, you are paying him. They know the playbook because they've been battling insurance companies for decades and beating them. So they're also rooted here in the community. They're partners with Bay Area institutions like the Giants and the Sharks and San Jose State. So if you need someone in your corner, call the firm insurance companies hope you never call, and that's Habbas Law. They will fight to make it right. Visit them on the web at habbaslaw.com, HABBAS law.com. They're great attorneys. Once again, 1-800-INJURED. They will fight to make it right. All right, let's share the screen here and play a clip from one of my very favorites. The great combo known as Willard and Dibbs. They had Greg Cosell on, and Greg's my guy. And I love Greg. He does some amazing stuff. And basically, Greg's talking about, they're going down the quarterback road and Greg's pushing back. So let's listen. This is always good stuff. Greg Cosell on 95.7 The Game.
What did you see with Brock Purdy last week in what was clearly not a great performance for him?
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you guys, and I know you got to do this because you're on the radio every day, but the week-to-week stuff with Brock Purdy gets a little silly to me, because I almost feel like people talk about Brock Purdy as if, well, he's not really that good, so if he has a good game, let's wait and see then what he's going to do next week. I mean, Brock Purdy's the starting quarterback. He's a good player. I mean, I think if you pretty much talk to almost anybody, they'll tell you he's a good player. Was he as sharp as he normally is in this game, and he had just come back, and we have no idea how the injuries affected him? He wasn't as sharp as he normally is working between the numbers. There were throws he was a little wild high. I don't know if that's a function of his toe, his shoulder. I can't speak to that. But to me, the much larger issue for this team, and almost every quarterback in the league is like this, they need a running game. They cannot run the football. There's no sustainability. There's no consistency. They're one of the worst rushing teams in the league right now. McCaffrey is, I think, at the bottom of the league in terms of yards before first contact. He's not getting past the first level of the defense. His first contact on average is 1.47 yards. Think about that. Okay, so their run game is what the main issue is right now, because Purdy, as I said, almost every quarterback is, with very few exceptions, is a ball distributor and an executor of a well-schemed offense. And if the offense can't run the football, it puts him in a really difficult spot.
What did you?
Good stuff from Greg Cosell there. It's a salient point. It's also a correct point. What do you make of what Greg said?
I think he's right. Now, I do think there is some delineations we have to make, because I do think some of Purdy's mistakes that he made against the Seahawks in the second half, and albeit they won that game, but also against Jacksonville, there were some bad interceptions in that game and some bad turnovers you can't make and you want your franchise quarterback to avoid when maybe guys are out and your offensive line and your run game isn't doing what it's supposed to be doing. So I do think that is fine to criticize, but I do think Cosell is right that you ask any quarterback to go out there with the bad offensive line, which has been bad for over a year now in San Francisco, and the running game, and say, hey, drop back 40 plus times a game and go win me a football game, you are feeding right into what defenses want you to do. And you already pointed out that, teams are getting pressure on San Francisco, not even blitzing. And so right now, the bigger problem isn't Brock Purdy. It's not, albeit is some of this, it's not entirely the lack of weapons. It is that this is a Kyle Shanahan offense that he has openly said, I want to run the football 35 plus times a game if I can have an ideal offense. They're near the bottom, the last offensive rushing attack in football. That's a problem. And whether it is the offensive line, whether it is Christian McCaffrey himself, if you can't run the football, that means no play action. You can't keep defenses honest, and you're not going to open up space for your quarterback to throw the football very often too. So I think Greg is right that, yes, you ask Mahomes, Burrow when he's healthy, Josh Allen, even Lamar Jackson, that we are going to eliminate your running game entirely. Like, that is what happens. Like, you have made San Francisco's offense one-dimensional. When you do that, your odds of winning go down. Your efficiency goes down. It just isn't going to be as good. And there's so much context that goes into why Purdy hasn't played great this year. And there's so many reasons as to why he didn't play good last year. But a lot of reasons is because the offensive line has not been very good for over a year now. And if you're not very good there, the entire offense, you basically crumple up and toss out the window. It's not going to be efficient at all. So I do think Greg is right, albeit Purdy should probably stop turning the ball over when his team's down or near tied in the second half. But besides that, Greg's right.
I mean, there's a lot of ways to look at this. I mean, one, Brock's got to take better care of the football. And at times going back to Iowa State, that has been his problem. I always think, though, that, Brian Billick did an interview on KMBR with Fitz and Brooks years ago. And I remember it was a genius point that he made. And it's really true. And he said, the hardest thing in football is to separate what's going on with the quarterback with what's going on around the quarterback. So if Brock Purdy's running for his life because of 16 pressures, if he's got injuries, toe problems, he's got no receivers, they can't run the ball. I mean, it's not like he's going to miraculously be able to lift up the team. You got to have components to this thing. I mean, the best quarterback in football, I think everybody would agree, is Patrick Mahomes. He just lost a Super Bowl to a far inferior quarterback who was on a far superior team. So it's not always the quarterback. Now, in this particular game, I think the people that are attacking Purdy, I think it's just lazy. I think it's a really tired thing. It's like the first interception was a little high, but it was on CMC and he tipped it into the air and it went to the DB. I mean, so the first interception was tipped by CMC. The second one was also tipped, but you can give that to Purdy if you want. It only resulted in 3 points going the other way. But then if you look at how horrible Bourne was, and CMC,
that big 3rd and 9 drop was terrible.
I mean, Bourne, they threw him 4 passes. He dropped 3. Yeah. CMC had a couple terrible drops. 4 other passes were dropped. If he doesn't have those drops, Brock Purdy throws for 400 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick, and we're kind of talking differently about this. So now, that all being said, there are people that are like, hey, man, he started hot and he hasn't been good recently. And if you look at his 38 career starts, the last 19 regular season games, which would be the half of his career sample, he's got 26 touchdowns and 20 interceptions.
Yeah.
So he's thrown too many interceptions. He's got to take care of the football. To me, what I see, and I don't know what you see, tell me what you think, but I see when he first came into the league, I saw a guy that as soon as he saw anybody open, he was getting it out of his hands. It's like, Hughes checking the flat, CMC, here we go. Not a lot of late in the down stuff. It seemed like in the last year he started to run more, and then because of that, it's like, well, he's holding the ball longer, so people are saying he's well protected. So it makes his line look better than he is, but he's really running for his life and moving all over the pocket. Now he's lost that mobility because of the toe, and I think that's complicating his world a little bit, which is why I think he ought to sit for the next month. But he needs to just everybody looks at him and says, oh, he's a dink and dunk, he's a check down guy, and that's been debunked. If anything, this guy's Brett Favre. He needs to check it down way more. If there's somebody open shallow, medium, and deep, he goes deep all the time, every time.
Yeah.
He holds the ball too much. He's instead of taking the easy play, like Mac Jones, I thought in his 2 starts took what the defense gave him far better than what Brock Purdy does. Brock Purdy this year looks like he's hunting the big play.
Yeah.
And then in the midst of hunting the big play, he's passing. It's like the old saying, you can't go broke making a profit. If you get a first down 3-yard pass to the flat and then that guy can run another 4 yards, now it's 2nd and 3. It's like, take that. Instead, he's looking to drive it down the field. He's throwing it into team meetings from time to time. Sometimes he's not seeing it. He didn't see Devin Lloyd at all on one of those picks.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's like, I almost feel like I'd want to say to Brock, hey, look, I thought when he came into the league, his risk versus reward dial, which Derek Carr's was always screwed up, Brock Purdy's was perfectly set between risk reward. And now I feel like he takes too many risks trying to chase down big plays. And I'd like to see him take what the defense gives, play more complimentary football. I'd rather a 12-play drive that takes 8 minutes than a 6-play drive that takes 4 minutes. Play complimentary defense, complimentary football, and protect your young defense, especially now that your line doesn't have Nick Bosa. I think it's really, really imperative that the Niners, play complimentary football and it starts on offense. So
yeah,
that'll be my with Brock. I still think Brock processes well. I think he's tough. I think he makes plays with his legs. I think the ball comes out on time. But right now his risk reward meter's a little off. I think he's holding the ball a little bit long. He's trying to make plays a little bit too far down the field, maybe a little less ambitious, a little bit more ball control. For every snap that you're taking, that's a snap that Stafford in that explosive offense with Puka can't take. I would, obviously he's not going to play tomorrow, but this goes for Mac Jones as well. I think Purdy's been a little too aggressive, and I think it's not served him well.
Yeah, I think, it's funny. We walked into this year, or at least I did, believing Brock, that he himself mentioned that his best tape was 2022, where he was
Right.
playing in the offense, everything was on time, and yeah, there was some big plays that were had, and even 2023, he almost won the MVP award that year, or at least was a finalist, because he was playing in the offense still, but also taking more chances down the field, which isn't a bad thing. You want your quarterback to have that in them to be able to do that stuff. But I think you're right. I think that Brock is taking too many chances downfield. Now, is that because he doesn't trust guys outside of Jawan and outside of Pearsall? And
I mean,
maybe
the
that's the case.
equation's breaking down around him. The line, the
Right,
backs,
like,
the run game, the
there's-
receivers. I mean, it's all breaking down.
There's so much context into why Brock and his turnovers have kind of escalated over time, whether it's lack of weaponry, the injuries on the offensive line, or Ayuk being out and everything. Like, there's so much that goes into it where it's not just, well, Brock Purdy isn't playing well. Yeah, there are certain times where Purdy is not playing well because he's trying to do too much, he isn't seeing things right, or he's running around. Now, I know we kind of crapped on PFF earlier in the show, and I like to think that this metric still stands, but for as bad as San Francisco's pass protection has been this year, Purdy has 2.9 seconds on his average time to throw. That's not good in a Shanahan offense. You want that ball out like Stafford, 2.5, over and over and over again, ball out quick. And it's a reason why you saw, like, Mac Jones, who I think of the two quarterbacks, the way Jones is playing now might give Mac a better opportunity to win the game, simply because he'll just fall right in line with the offense, and if it's there, he'll take it. Whereas Purdy, yeah, he can take it, but you do feel there might be some weight on his shoulders to either live up to his contract, or because the offensive line's not been great because the weapons are hurt, that he has to make the big play. That's not the case. Like, you have one of the best offensive play callers at your disposal. Follow him, let him lead you, and then add your own things when plays break down. Not, like, you don't have to evade the pocket or make a big play on 1st and 10. A lot of Brock's interceptions this year, there's 4 of them. A lot of them have been on early, 1st, 2nd downs on the beginning of drives. It's crushed their defense and stuff. So I'm really hoping that whether Brock plays in week 6 against the Buccaneers, that maybe guys are healthy around him, but he really has to find a way to play within the offense again instead of trying to do things all by himself.
I agree. I think he's got to do less, and become more of the distributor that he was in 22. You don't have to be the maestro. You can just be a distributor. All right, let's hit some chats, and then we'll bolt for the door. We're about 90 minutes in. Thanks to everybody for jumping in, by the way. Over 2,000 people hanging out on the stream tonight. Joe D says, Larry, who should the 49ers start looking at for their next head coach? Wow. Kyle's contract ends after 2026. Well, I'm a Kyle Shanahan fan. I believe that Shanahan's the right coach. I really do. People, I've had people say, hey, Krug, you're negative. You've been negative on the Niners. And I have been a little bit negative on the Niners. And I think my negativity on the Niners really stems from the standpoint of I'm getting very frustrated that they appear to be getting further away from the 6th Lombardi. Anybody who knows me knows I'm all about the Lombardi trophy. I want to see the Niners win that number 6. And I'm passionate about it. Probably to an unhealthy degree. I'll freely admit that. I want my channel to do well. Believe me, I'm all about my channel, but I'm also all about the Niners getting this 6th ring. I'm very passionate about the 49ers getting this 6th Lombardi. And to me, I'm kind of obsessive about it. I'll freely admit who I am and what I am. I'm passionate about the Niners getting that 6th ring. I'm obsessive about the Niners getting that 6th ring. And I'm getting pissed off that they're getting further away from what I see as getting close to winning that ring. And I don't think it has to do with Kyle Shanahan. I think it has to do with the players. I don't think they have as good of players as they need. They need better players. So I'm, very much a believer that if Kyle Shanahan was provided better players, that he would win the Super Bowl. So I'm really not. I'm more. I like John Lynch a lot. I really believe John Lynch is a great man, a great asset for the 49ers. But I'm tired of the misses. and there's too many of them, and it has to end. And if that means that John's got to kick himself upstairs to president, and they got to go find their Les Snead, their Eric DaCosta, their Howie Roseman, then so be it. And some people would say, "Oh, you want to replace Lynch?" No, I don't want to replace Lynch. I don't want to work that hard, and I don't want anybody to replace Lynch. I want Lynch to make better picks. I want Lynch to be the president. I want him to be the general manager. I want him to make better picks. I want them to stop picking Jake Moody and Cam Latu and Robert Beals and start picking the Puka Nakuas and the Willie Lampkins. And, I want to see better. I want to see better picks. Now, this year's draft was pretty good. Last year's draft wasn't bad. But, man, 23, 22, 20, 21, 22, 23, outside of the Purdy pick, train wreck. Absolute train wreck. So, yes, if I seem negative on the Niners, I'm getting pissed that they're getting further away from this Lombardi. And to me, it's unacceptable. It's not acceptable. I'm passionate about them winning. I'm all in on them winning. And I think they need better players. I think they need to pick better. And I'm going to say so. And if that's going to rub people wrong, then I don't know what to say about that, but that's the way I feel. Avtar Singh in the house says, "Hey, Larry, according to Lombardi, your channel is an aggregated channel." Sterling, can you explain what that means exactly?
Is he referring to that somebody's stealing content? I don't know. Aggregation would mean like that. That would mean that you're taking somebody else's content and making it your own, or using somebody else's content for your own content, which is what we all do. So I don't know what that really means.
I retweet it. Sometimes I'll retweet stuff. Hey, you know what?
You need more charts, Larry. We need more charts on this show.
Hey, man, somebody wants to pocket watch me, go for it. I ain't pocket watching anybody else. The channel's doing just fine. I'm pretty proud of every bit of content we put out there. And if Dave wants to say something to me, he knows where he can find me. Joseph Ernberg, it's time to wave the white flag time for the draft. What?
Oh, Joseph.
It's a little negative. It's a little on the negative side. Anthony Catania's in the house. He said, "Hey, guys, love the show. I think it's time for a new center. Brendel is struggling a lot. Move Pooney to center and sign John Feliciano back out of retirement to play right guard." And, of course, the great Anthony Catania is one of our sponsors. Check out Sharp Corners, Sports Cards and Collectibles. They're at 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove, California, on the Monterey Peninsula. The great Anthony Catania, who's right there in the chat, his number is 831-521-5264. He's a great follow on Instagram at Sharp Corners 831 on the gram. And thanks to Sharp Corners. By the way, they sent Chase Sr. a Sharp Corners Hattie Ward on the show the other day, and it looked really, really
Nice.
sharp.
Nice.
But Anthony, I agree with you. Brendel is struggling, but according to PFF says, hey, Brendel's Mike Webster, according to PFF. Tim B just said, hey, there you go, $1.99. Joseph Ernberg, besides D-line, do the 49ers shop for a wide receiver or a running back? Forget D-line. They better go for offensive tackle. Offensive tackle has to be the first round pick.
Trading for one? Oh, okay.
No, this year's first round pick has to be an offensive tackle.
Would I be wrong to say that a second round running back wouldn't be a bad idea?
I don't think running backs are ever a bad idea, to be completely honest.
The Penn State guys, either one of those dudes.
You like Singleton?
Yes. Yeah.
Or are you talking about the other guy?
Both of them. It don't matter. I think both those guys.
Singleton's got 4.3 speed and he's got great size. And
that's what I'm saying. You put him and Christian McCaffrey together, and maybe CMC becomes more of a slot receiver, and you find yourself with a better backfield, which isn't going to erase the woes of the offensive line. But I mean, hey, CMC isn't getting younger, so why not find another guy back there and have yourself somewhat of a two-headed monster with CMC and whoever it may be back there with Christian McCaffrey.
Nicholas Singleton, they're saying, is going to go in the first round. Nice player for sure.
Yeah, he is.
One of the guy that I've already got my eye on, I think I'm going to share the screen if I can find this guy. Yeah, here we go. Let me see if I can put this up. I'll share the screen on this. This is one of my favorite draft prospects. I mean, we're miles before the draft, but since people ask, if you ask, I shall give you some draft nuggets. This guy's name's it's a great name too, Xavier Chaplin. Have you heard of Xavier Chaplin? Don't say yes, because most people have never heard of him. Anyway, he plays for Auburn. Let me see if I can play this real quick, and you can see Xavier Chaplin. This is a big offensive tackle for Auburn. Here he is, left tackle. I love Auburn. They get a lot of drive blocking guys. I mean, look at this guy's big, strong left tackle, good feet. Threw that guy down. Hit him again. Here he is on the run. Can he hit somebody in space? That was a run away from him. I'm not sure why they made the highlight reel. Here he is. They're running behind him there. Touchdown. So Xavier Chaplin, look at him just maul that guy in the run game. Massive left tackle, good feet, long arms. Auburn's got a lot of good run blockers. You know who's a good Niner offensive lineman from Auburn? Do you remember the Niners tackle who played at Auburn?
No.
Steve Wallace.
Okay.
Great player for the Niners, and they won Super Bowls with Wallace. And this guy's a big body tackle. I like the movement ability. He's projected to go in the second round. But there's a bunch of good tackles in this draft, and Chaplin is one of them. If you're looking to watch a team that you should check out that has good tackles, watch Utah. Utah has both their starting left tackle and their starting right tackle are both NFL guys to be for sure. Real good prospects, first round picks. Claw-Daddy Arcades in the house, and he's a great follow on Instagram at Claw_Daddy_Arcades. Got a brand new location in Capitola Mall that's open right now. He's got another location opening in Visalia Mall later on this summer, or later on this calendar year, I should say. We're already past summer. Claw-Daddy Arcades, his thoughts on Christian Wilkins. He's out of his walking boot. I'm not sure about the Jones fracture, but might be low risk, high reward. I mean, this guy has got some weird things going on around him. I think.
Do we know exactly what happened with Las Vegas? I know there was some rumors out there.
Inappropriately touched somebody, from what I had heard. I don't know what exactly that consists of, but I would steer clear. I mean, he was a really good player at Clemson. He's a 320-pound guy who's very scheme versatile. He can play he can play defensive tackle in a 4-3 defense. He can play
great in Miami.
Technique. Yeah, he was really good at Miami. They went to the Raiders. The Raiders were happy to sign him, but then they were also happy to get him out of there. And I just think that probably will be interesting to see. I mean, if what he did cross some invisible line that you can't cross, then maybe he's out of the league and nobody gives him a shot. Yeah. But his talent says that he should be in the league, and Claudetti's right. A player like that he's probably the best player available. But the Niners care so much about their culture and their locker room. I find it hard to believe that they would bring Wilkins in.
He'll probably be a Chief by the end of the year. Let's be honest.
Chiefs, the Chiefs,
Cowboys.
I mean, some of these teams have a better tolerance for whatever. Chiefs have had Kareem Hunt. The Niners would never have Kareem Hunt. So there you go. Like that one, though, Claudetti. Good idea. Tim B says Saleh also called McVay a cheater last week. No, he didn't. I was sitting right there. It was my question.
Cheating.
In fact, right before they walked into the room for Saleh, I said to Cone, Grant, wouldn't it be great if you said, hey, how about McVay? I bet you is he a cheater? And Grant laughed. And then Grant asked the question.
Oh, man.
He used that question. He's like, hey, what do you think of McVay? And instead of just saying, absolutely not, I'm not going to discuss it, Saleh started talking about it. It's like, dude, never go down this road again. The last thing you want to do is incite your opponent. Just don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
A couple last ones here, and then we'll bolt. Joseph Ernberg, not draft, but by the trade deadline, 49ers 24-17. Okay, he likes the Niners to win. James
I think
Foster.
he means not by the trade deadline in regards to trying to acquire a wide receiver or running back at the trade deadline.
Okay.
Referencing his previous super chat.
Oh, okay, but but he still likes the Niners 24-17 tomorrow.
Yes.
Okay. Can barely see over his lineman's head. Can you imagine they were all wearing those Guardian caps? It would make it more difficult. It would definitely make it more difficult.
Maybe.
Hey, my kid who plays JV football, we've played our entire season with the Guardian cap.
Oh,
and
how's that going?
It's because they don't want to lose these kids to concussions.
Yeah.
You know, if you're running a football program, and I talked to the varsity coach, I said, hey, why do you got these kids, freshmen and JV, playing with the Guardian caps? He's like, hey, man, we want these kids to play varsity. If they get 3 concussions before they're a junior in high school, mom's going to be like, I don't want them playing varsity football. So if we want to have a program, we got to make sure that our younger football players don't suffer concussions. It's actually pretty smart, actually. I think in a developmental type thing, and that's what Frosh and JV football really is.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah. Even my wife, we don't have any kids, but she's even said, like, kids aren't playing football. And I go, why? I go, concussions. And I was like, I mean, okay. Like, I can't fault you for having that fear. Obviously, you know, being a fan of the sport and playing it myself and in my younger days, like, I could say, well, I was fine and I'm okay. But I don't fault mothers and fathers for fearing of their child's brain health as they get to the age of 16. Like, you want them to be able to stand upright, not need help.
Yeah, it's very true. And yet I will say this, you know, I have 3 sons and they all played sports in high school and 2 of them played football. And, you know, the lessons that you learn from football and the discipline that you learn and the camaraderie and the team building or life lessons that can carry you into success, you know, throughout your life. And I know what you're saying, though, because I didn't let my oldest boy play football as a freshman. I felt he was too thin, need to put on weight. I told him, I said, you know, if you lift weights for a year and you want to go out sophomore year, you know, and then I didn't have that rule with my youngest boy. I just let him play. But yeah, no, I'm very concerned about that. You know, it also comes down to too, it's like, what's the participation level? Like, we played a team, Sterling, where the other team had 14 players.
Yikes.
And they played both ways and special teams. And our fans gave their team like a standing ovation at the end of the game because, you know what I mean? That's really tough. That's tough. So that I don't like. But it is a trade-off though, because, like, you know, I do, you know, when I hear guys like John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan and players talking about the game and and so many of the best people I've known in my life were people that played and coached and scouted this game. And I don't think that's accidental. I think there's a lot of great things that come out of football.
Yes.
And I'm a real believer in the culture. And I understand, though I do understand your wife's feeling on that. All I would say is, you know, don't be closed-minded and see what it looks like and what it feels like. You know, it's a big difference too. It's like, you play college football, I mean, you're taking hits.
Yeah,
You're playing high school football. I mean, I'm not saying that you're not taking hits. It depends what position you play, running back, linebacker, but
I feel like you're more up to, like, break a leg than get a concussion in high school football.
They
Like,
don't hit that hard. I just say that.
I can't tell you how many guys, like, tore an ACL or broken arm or fractured a rib compared to getting a concussion that early. But, you know,
I had a terrible contusion on my arm that took months and months and months to get over it. But I'm a big fan of what it does to, you know, as far as, like, you work for a company, like you and I, we've been working for radio stations.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times it's group projects. You know, you're working with a producer and you're working with another host or 2. And if you can't work well in a group setting, you know, you might not be able to succeed. And, you know, you do learn that in football. you got to lean on your other teammates. So anyway, it's just a couple thoughts, but there's no question. It's 100% injury sport. And then Humdinger says, where is Nick Martin? Nick Martin's been inactive the last couple of weeks, and Robert Saul was asked about it. He said he's doing fine. He just he's got to dominate on special teams, and right now he's got 2 veteran special teamers in Curtis Robinson and Luke Gifford that are ahead of him. That all being said, the Niners are so freaking bad on their punt cover and kick cover team that unless Robinson and Gifford start making a whole shit ton of tackles, one of those guys ought to sit for Nick Martin here in the next couple weeks, because it's one thing to say, oh, well, we're prioritizing special teams, and that's why Nick Martin's not out there. Okay, but you can't have an 87-yard punt return touchdown. If you're taking a guy who's not as good from scrimmage, Luke Gifford, and putting him active on game day because of his special teams contribution, then make a contribution. Then tackle somebody. Then don't let somebody have an 87-yard house call on you. The Niners coverage units are the worst. Their average field position against is the worst in the NFL. Worst. So how many weeks can you justify benching Nick Martin and his hyper activity and unbelievable foot speed and tackling ability, just because he's inexperienced on special teams? I don't know, man. I mean, these other guys better start making some tackles, otherwise Nick's got to be active.
Well, and it's clearly a personnel problem, because Brant Boyer had one of the worst teams in football almost entire time in New York, and those guys were top 10 every single year in special teams. So it's like, it's clearly a personnel issue. It's not, a coaching issue right now, which maybe that'll clear itself up as the year goes on. But man, it's been really bad. Jair Brown's been terrible on special teams.
And it's unbelievable. One last one before we jet. Michael Alanis, Bleacher Report has us tied to David Njoku. Any truth to that, Larry? Hope you and Sterling have a great rest of the night. Great show as always. That's interesting. I haven't seen their trade thing, but they usually have like a top 10 list of guys that are going to be traded, and then they try to link guys. I will say this. I mean, they definitely could use another tight end. I mean, what do they got? I mean, right now you've got Kittle. You got Farrell. Farrell's not a receiver. He just fumbled. You got Tongus. Tongus is getting brutalized. You got Braden Willis. I'm not a Braden Willis guy. No. And yeah, I mean, I absolutely think I would be looking around for another tight end, especially if you're going to have to go the rest of the year. Who knows about Ayuk? Who knows about JJ? Who knows about, your wide receiver core is decimated. You might need to go 2 tight ends more often, especially in the red zone. So yeah, I would think that is a possibility. I'm not sure if Njoku would be the first tight end I would want, but he's big and talented, very, very, very skilled as a blocker. He's got good hands. He's a stud, man. I mean, Njoku hasn't fulfilled his potential, but he's been in Cleveland. If you put him in San Francisco in this offense, he probably would fulfill his potential. So yeah, that's an interesting name for sure. What do you think of Njoku?
I mean, I think Njoku's great, and Cleveland just drafted Harold Fannin Jr., so maybe they could be looking to get out of his contract or get some picks back for him. I just don't know if San Francisco values tight end enough to say, hey, we'll trade away draft picks in the same season, which we signed a guy for 2 years in a fairly large tight end 2 contract, albeit it's not that big. But I don't know. Like, I think that, yes, San Francisco would be wise to go more 12 personnel and run 2 tight ends, but you can't do that unless you have George Kittle back, and maybe by week 6 he's back. But I don't know if San Francisco would value the position enough to go out and trade for a tight end middle of the season and say, yeah, that's our one move we're going to make, knowing you probably need another receiver, maybe a running back, and you never know how defense goes. But I'd rather have Luke Musgrave from Green Bay for really, really, really cheap, but that's just me. But I just don't think San Francisco values tight end that much. Kittle was a 5th-round pick. Willis, a 7th-rounder. Like, they haven't drafted a guy since Willis in round 7, so I just don't see it.
We're an hour and 54 in, so we're going to call it right here. Sterling, what do you got cooking on game day? If people want to check you out, I know you'll be doing post-game on 95.7 The Game. Promote everything you got cooking tomorrow.
Yeah, so tomorrow we are going to be live on 95.7 The Game, the YouTube channel, and on the radio. Myself and Mark Grandy, right after the game's over. But on Friday morning, that'll be our post-game reaction stream on the YouTube channel, which is just at 49ers Access. The Instagram and Twitter /X are the exact same thing. 49ers.access is the Instagram. 49ers_access is the X and Twitter. Doing live streams almost every single day, putting out preview and reactionary content. In fact, right now, live on the YouTube channel is our preview for Niners and Rams. Wasn't too positive, but dove into every which way San Francisco will either win or lose that game. So go ahead and check that one out for you if you can.
Worst Jen says CMC is great, but each step is a wince to me. Yeah, I hear you.
That's true.
Definitely hear that. I mean, you're sitting there going, is this guy going down? Can this guy last the year? I mean, that's every time I watch him, I'm thinking, gosh, is this going to be the end? Thanks to Habbas Law, 1-800-INJURED. They will fight to make it right. Thanks to all of you. Thanks to Sterling. Thanks to Sleeper. Thanks to Claudette Arcade, Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles. And, of course, Pig at a Pickle. Sterling, have a great game day. We'll see you next week. And thanks to all you guys. Have a great night. Peace.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get exactly